You guys ready? Department directors that are going to answer questions, if we have that, either come up here and stand or sit right here so you're ready, please. Only see one of you. I know there's another couple. Either one, stand here or sit there. Are you guys ready to go? Sure. So other than five, everybody's ready to go. So you give me the signal, we'll start. Okay. All right. All right, great. So everyone's ready? All right. I'm Clay Lewis Jenkins, the Dallas County Judge. Also here with me are two of our Commissioners Court, Dr. Teresa Daniel and Commissioner Andy Summerman. I have also with me department directors that can answer some of your more in-depth questions. Well, moments ago, what's left of President Trump's directive to temporarily stop agency grants, loans, and other financial service programs went into effect. This was a result of last night's memorandum sent by the White House Office of Management and Budget. Earlier today, we quickly pulled together our county departments, partially funded with federal grants, to assess the impact. The list was extensive. We'll visit with you about that. And the funding pause had the potential, and still does, to cause irreparable harm in our community. What it appears at the moment, and things are very fast changing, is that due to widespread pushback from across the country, it appears that the administration, in a series of walkbacks, has now walked back from their earlier memo all of the programs that would affect the county, the schools, or Parkland Hospital. I say appears because this is an evolving situation. We had, I just watched, as perhaps some of you did, Stephen Miller, a member of the White House political appointee team, saying that they never intended the words in that memo. However, my staff, as I was walking down here, noticed that the New York Times is reporting that there's been a pause in some states' ability to access through the web portal, is it Medicaid reimbursements, and so that is continuing. We also know that a judge is now hearing an injunction somewhere in another state on this matter. Let me tell you some of the programs that were affected before the walkback. Okay, so before the walkback, you would have all sorts of programs affected. At the beginning, that would include Title I programs like Head Start and school lunches. It's been pretty clear. I talked to Stephanie Elizalde, who is our DISD superintendent, that they have explicitly walked back those Title I programs. So we believe that those are no longer in this, all right? And then at the county level, I don't imagine that the people who wrote this memo understood all the things that could be affected. For instance, in just the law enforcement space here in Dallas County, and that would be different, you know, all around the country, but we use federal grant dollars for 70 positions that do freeway management and clear accidents from the roads. Before we had that freeway management team, the average time in Dallas for a serious accident to clear was over 100 minutes. With the help of that team, it's about 30 minutes. Now that's important not only for your commute time, but it's important for accidents that happen in the jam that is behind that original accident. We know that if an accident's on the road, the longer it's there, the more likelihood of other accidents. Originally, it included all of the federal money that goes to our Health and Human Service Department. So out of a $350 million budget, it included $275 million. We believe that, at least at the moment, for the moment, has been walked back, and that none of that money will be paused immediately. There are other programs, $3 million for CBDG, which is mostly sewer and other important improvement projects in our towns of less than 50,000 people that would be affected as well, that we believe now will continue to flow. The money that we get to test DNA for conviction integrity to find people that were wrongfully accused was originally to stop. We believe that will continue to flow. We believe this is due to the widespread pushback from across the country. And it's due partly because of the free press that brought this to the attention of people, and I commend those in the free press who did that. We'll be watching closely as the Trump administration may change its mind again, but for now it looks like the programs are not at immediate risk. I say immediate because in the, whatever you want to call it, the clarification that walked this stuff back a few minutes ago, it also says that ultimately these decisions will be made by political appointees. So a political appointee may change their mind. One of the things that would have been affected, by the way, in our beyond DNA testing is our specialty court services. So if they cut off the federal money for that, those are the positions of the people who identify those veterans and those people to go through a specialty court program where they might need treatment for PTSD rather than a criminal record. And there are other programs as well. So if we want to talk about the programs that we believe right now, it could change, but we believe right now will not be immediately affected. We have in the room with us Dr. Phil Huang, who is the director of our public health department of the Dallas County Health and Human Services. We have Charlene Randolph, who is the head of the Criminal Justice Department. And finally, we have Alberta Blair, who is the head of our Public Works, which is transportation and trails. By the way, some of that federal money, when we talk about transportation, there was a lot of that was going to work that's already been allocated in the inland port, which is a real driver of living wage jobs in southern Dallas County. But for now, it looks like they have walked back, or in their words, clarified what they always meant, with the order. And so that's where we are now. When we call this press conference, they had not yet walked those things back. Is there any questions before I turn it over to somebody? You go first.
Thank you. Judge,
get to everybody though.
There's clearly a lot of confusion remaining.
Lots.
Interpreting the messaging from the White House, but you mentioned programs that you believe for the moment are not going to be affected. Have you identified any programs that you confirmed are going to be affected still with the most recent messaging?
We really haven't, because if you look at the recent messaging, and I'm reading directly from the executive, the latest order, it is programs that would undermine protecting the American people against invasion. Well, and not surprisingly, our school, city, county, and hospital don't have any programs to help with invasions. Reevaluating and realigning United States foreign aid. We're not in the foreign aid business. Putting America first in international environmental agreements. County, city, schools, hospital, we don't do international agreements. Unleashing American energy, here's something that could be affected because we have applied, along with Harris County, Tarrant County, and others, for some of the money that was available for solar projects and other things. I don't believe these should be affected, but we'll have to wait to see what that political appointee says. And I want to point out to you that when money has been appropriated, federal money has been appropriated, so similar to the way it is here in the state, I, as county judge, can't just decide that I don't want to fund the constable's office, okay? Once it's appropriated, it takes the body to unappropriate it. It takes Congress in this instance. They can pause it for 14 days, but it will take Congress to do away with that money. We don't have any indication that any of our energy projects are in there, but that is something that we're involved in, is some programs that deal with energy and weatherization. The next one is ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs and preferencing. I'm not characterizing these things. I'm reading verbatim from their memo. I'm not aware that we're involved in those things at the county, city, school, or hospital district. Defending women from gender ideology extremism and restoring biological truth to the federal government. Your guess is as good as mine as to what that means, but I'm pretty sure we're not involved in that. Enforcing the Hyde Amendment, we're not involved in enforcing the Hyde Amendment. So I don't believe those things would affect us here, not just at the county, but on a local level. You're next.
A couple of things. Can you talk about what it's been like today trying to figure all of this out? And also, you talked about the pushback. Did Dallas County send a letter or make any kind of statement to the White House?
So no, we did not communicate with the White House. We did communicate with several members of Congress, and I won't go into any great detail about that because I don't know what members of Congress want the president to know that they actually still talk to me. But we did talk to them, and Commissioner Summerlin just handed me his phone that a federal judge has just blocked the memo's implementation. So as long as that is in effect, we can say definitively the money will continue to flow. A lot of confusion, as you pointed out. I got a call from a judge today who got a call from DHA, Dallas Housing Authority, concerned that they would not be able to continue to pay rents for people in that program. So with this, we don't have to worry about that with the judge's block and the apparent walk back. But we're going to keep watching it every day. Yes?
Judge, the Congress already approved that money. Have you have any indication that you are not going to receive money?
So based on the judge blocking the memo, based on the walk back, and based on the 1974 law that says that once Congress has appropriated money, the only way to undo that is a vote of Congress. I don't believe the president, the executive branch, would have the legal ability. Now, they control all branches of government now, so they may change the interpretation of the law. But as the law has been interpreted for the last 50 years, they would not have the legal ability for one elected executive to undo what Congress has done through appropriation. Yes, ma'am.
Can you just kind of summarize where you are now and the local things?
So where we are now is we have scrambled today to see what would be affected because there would be, the original memo would have had immediate impacts on the budgets of Parkland, the schools, the county, cities, and others. Because of the walk back and now because the judge has blocked the memo, there will not be those immediate impacts. We will have to see what these political appointees say are programs that touch upon these issues that I read verbatim from their memo of whatever it is that they are trying to protect against.
What would you say to Dallas County residents right now that are watching this play out and are worried?
I would say to Dallas County residents, it's very important to stay awake, stay aware, and when you see something that is detrimental to your community, to speak up. And these programs would have been, these cuts, these pauses or stoppages would have been incredibly damaging to your community. I'm going to give you a couple of quick examples of that. In Dallas County, we frequently have small, I guess you would call them outbreaks of tuberculosis. In America, we don't have a big problem with tuberculosis, but we'll have a breakout in our homeless encampment or somewhere else. And because we have a great Health and Human Services team that is, majority of that is funded by a federal pass-through, we're able to take care of not only helping those people that have tuberculosis, but keeping others from getting that highly contagious disease. Same thing with HIV. We're able to help people keep their viral loads down and get the testing that they need so that not only do they have a better life and can live a long and productive life, but we don't see further accelerated spread of HIV through our community. These are the sort of programs that we are involved in. The everyday blocking and tackling of keeping you safe from disease, from crime, of building roads to spur the economy and get you from point A to point B. These hot button issues that are listed in the memo are not things that you typically see schools, cities, counties, and hospital districts involved in.
If somebody wants to speak up, which number they are going to call? Which number they should call if they
Oh.
want to speak up?
If they want to speak up. So I don't have it right off the top of my head, but I can get you the switchboard at the White House. I think another thing to do, and particularly your Republican congressional members, it's good to speak to your Republican congressional members. Social media is also a way to get your voice heard. That right now in America, we have a Republican House, a Republican Senate, a conservative Republican appointed Supreme Court, and a Republican president. That doesn't mean that our Democratic members of Congress are not important too, but I would encourage people that are concerned, if you're used to only talking to Democratic members of Congress, make sure to talk to Republican members of Congress as well. Any other questions before I turn this
Judge,
over?
you mentioned the confusion. Can you
Yeah.
kind of characterize for us what this day has been like with county staff trying to figure out what those impacts would have been and realizing the gravity of that?
Yeah, I want to commend our county staff who pulled together and stayed calm and worked through all these things. And it was very similar to an incident, like a tornado or something. We had them break into teams. People would call and say how it affected their agency. And then I would ask them, well, can you grab another judge and this person and that person and figure out when that would go, this was like the housing thing, the DHA thing. Grab DHA and some others and figure out when that would be affected and how you're affected and how much money you need in the short term. And so we dealt with it similar to how you've seen us deal with emergencies, basically. And people stayed calm, they worked through, and commend all of them. But it is a very confusing situation, and we'll just have to keep an eye on it. And we may get different information tomorrow, right? So we've got to constantly stay on that. But if the goal now, the walk back goal now, is to deal with the things that are listed on the latest executive memo, with the exception of having, which I don't hope it's not what they're talking about, but with the exception of American Energy, where our piece is weatherization of senior citizens' homes, and going forward with the projects that we won from the federal government to improve energy efficiency in Dallas, Tarrant, Harris, and other counties. I don't see where, if that's truly what they've now limited to, where we're going to be greatly affected. Parkland also had a ton of programs obviously affected by this. Originally, it could have been all their federal money because Parkland gets a lot of federal money, for instance, for Medicaid. That was taken off the table. And now we're not absolutely positive. We kind of feel the same way about Parkland that we do about the county, but Parkland has about $41.5 million, none of which deal with these little things in the middle of the memo that are left, but that they're not absolutely clear or will not be interrupted. But and again, I would remind you that at least in some states, I don't know about Texas, but whatever states the New York Times reported on moments ago, there is disruption on the website of getting your money through the portal. Anything else before I turn it over? We got a couple other members of the court here that may want to say something, or does anyone have any questions of one of these department directors?
Quick question. It
Yeah.
looks like
we're gonna be watching this, very, very closely. So, I probably, given the tenor of this, will go to Washington, tomorrow for a pre-scheduled trip to work on mental health partnerships, with the Pew Charitable Trust and others. But I'll be working on this, while there. And, but it was serious enough to where we thought about canceling that and a lot of other things and just treating this like it were a tornado, in a response. But for now, it looks like we've got the time. Nothing's gonna happen until Monday. And what I would ask the Trump administration, to consider between now and Monday is giving us a lot of clarity. I want to say something in a spirit of bipartisanship to the Trump administration. President Trump and his first administration put forth valuable and vital money in the Ending HIV by 2030 campaign, a moonshot to eradicate the HIV epidemic by 2030. This program, as it was written last night, would have stopped that Ryan White money and the money that goes through that, which would be counterproductive to his stated goal of ending HIV by 2030. Now it appears that that money will continue to flow. I would ask them to clarify, because there is a lot of uncertainty, and I'm sure parents whose kids are on programs and whatnot want that clarity, to clarify that between now and Monday. So to the extent that there's still an argument with anyone, we all of us that provide for the local government and quality of life of our residents know what we're still arguing about, if anything. Okay, has that got everybody? Thank you so much. Any questions for our commissioners or our department heads?
I was gonna ask if you can clarify the total amounts of money that you believe might be affected if this changes, or earlier today you thought were gonna be affected until that changed.
Well, so in the very beginning, we believe that it could affect all sorts of programs, like Title I programs at schools, and huge amounts of programs at Parkland. By the time that we set the press conference, they had already walked back Title I, or I think right after we set the press conference, they walked back Title I. And before we set the press conference, they walked back, what was it, Charles? What they already walked back? What was that? Medicaid, yeah, they walked back Medicaid. And so, but even from the time that we set this press conference, which was, I don't remember whenever it was, but a couple hours ago, until 4 o'clock, it wasn't until I think 3:30 that they walked back the monies that would have affected the sheriff's traffic. The $275 million of the $350 million budget of Dallas County Health and Human Services, $3.2 million of CBDG type sewer projects, things of that nature. In criminal justice, about $6 million? About $6 million in criminal justice. In a transportation, is it 60? What was it?
It was a total of
71 million. So, you know, quite a bit there. And it's important that, you know, people, and particularly people who've supported the president and supported his election, speak out on social media, with letters, with calls, on these things, and let them know what you don't want to see happen. Because certainly we want to continue to provide vital, you know, foundational services here in Dallas County, and we can't do that with just the taxes that you pay. If we were to have to take over the federal government's responsibility on those programs, it'd be the largest tax increase in history, right? So we don't want to see that happen.
So the county doesn't have any program related to DEI that's supposed to be
So,
related to the White House?
to the best of my knowledge, we do not receive federal money through some program to promote DEI. Now, certainly, as you've heard me say before, Dallas County is a welcoming place. It's a diverse place. It's a place where we want to see every child and every adult get ahead. And we want to ensure that they have the tools to do that. Not only is that the best thing for that person, it's the best thing for all of us, right? And so, we're not backing away from that. But as far as federal money that we get for a DEI program, I'm not aware of that at the county or the hospital. And I don't know, I doubt it at the city and the schools, but I haven't checked on that. All right, thank you all very, very much. And if you have any questions for anyone else, they're here. And if not, thank you for coming. And I hope we don't have to do this a lot, but when we have this sort of uncertainty that affects the residents here in Dallas County, we want to make sure that we keep you informed so you can keep them informed. Thank you.